host of a show here on Rogers TV where we give you a perspective of police in your community. Welcome to Policing York Region. Today we've got the opportunity of talking with Sergeant Beth Milliard, and we're going to talk about the Peer Support Unit. Beth, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So this is, I got to see a Police Services Board presentation on this, and it's, I didn't realize how proactive and how active your unit was. Can you talk a bit about it?
Sure. Our peer support unit was established 3 years ago now.
Right.
And the main purpose behind the unit is to actually support the members. So not just peer support, we're also responsible for mental health education, prevention. We also support our spouses of our members as well.
Right.
So yeah,
that's important.
Exactly. So the whole premise is we take care of the community, so who's taking care of us?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should have somebody to talk to, somebody to take care of things.
Absolutely. And what we found in the unit, it's not just the traumatic calls that we go to that seems to cause people distress.
Yes.
It's just everyday stressors as well. And I think people kind of forget that police officers are human, and they also go through their own stressors at home, and we're there to support them.
Yeah, that's something that we've touched on before. That fortunately for a lot of us, we don't see that first response scene that you might. Of course, you're dealing with that in a professional manner.
Yes.
But you still are human.
Absolutely.
You still have to digest what's going on, right?
Absolutely. And I guess the premise too behind it is, we do the training, we know what we're going into, but for some people it's a cumulative effect.
Sure.
Or when they go home, they seem to be okay with the call, and then maybe a week or 2 weeks later, they're still not okay with the call. So at that time, we reach out as a peer support unit, members within the unit. We also have a team. We have a 55-member team. Reaches out to members to see if they need help, and if they are struggling, then we get them in contact with the right resources.
So that team, the 55-member team, who's that made up of?
So the 55-member team, it's considered a part-time unit at York, and it's made up of civilians and police officers. Police officers of a couple different ranks. And these members, it's great because they volunteer their time, but they also have lived experience.
Okay, so they're speaking from experience.
Absolutely. And again, it's not just, police officers that have gone to traumatic incidents. It's real people with real experiences. So we have cancer survivors. We have members on there where members of their family have taken their lives. Just what we usually hear is that people relate more to people that have kind of gone through similar experiences.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Familiar grounds, right?
Absolutely.
That makes perfect sense. So, you have a core number of people that actually make up the peer support unit.
We do. We're actually fortunate at York. Besides another police service in Ontario, we're the second police service to actually have a unit dedicated to the wellness of our members, which is amazing.
It is.
Our Chief Jolliffe, is very supportive of what we do. And
yes, he is.
Yeah, and actually through him is where we get our support through our ECT. And it started out as 2, and now we're up to 5. Wow. Because they see the importance of the unit.
They recognize the value in it, right?
Absolutely.
And I think right from ahead of it, before its inception, they recognize the value.
Absolutely. And as police officers, we're always reactive.
Yes.
And, we have community policing where we try to be proactive. And when I talk to people about the peer support unit, I say it's kind of the same thing. Instead of waiting for someone to be in distress or someone to be bothered by a call, we kind of do that pre-education stuff. We try to be proactive and reach out before, someone is really suffering.
Yeah, and there's some, you touched on there's some training that goes out to the officers with regard to peer support.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, in 2015, this is another first for York. Another first for us in Ontario is we actually implemented mandatory training from the Mental Health Commission of Canada called Road to Mental Readiness.
Yes. Oh, I've seen that.
Yeah. So we're very proud to have that. And it actually, the difference between Road to Mental Readiness and any other courses that have been taught at York regarding mental health is it's learning when the officers or the civilians at YRP are actually in distress. So we go by a color code system. You're either green, yellow, orange, or red. and our chief had made this training mandatory for all members. So all of our 2,400 members have gotten it.
That's great.
Yeah, it's amazing. And then our goal of having everybody take it is so we all have a common language. So if we were peer supporting someone and they say, you know, I feel like I'm in the yellow or the orange, then we know what they're talking about.
And I suppose that would help you maybe better identify one of your colleagues if they might be in need.
Absolutely. And that's another part of our training is to have those conversations because, you know, we talk to people now and they say, yeah, I've noticed changes in a coworker, but I didn't know how to have that conversation. So that's kind of another thing we do with the training is, you know, don't sweep it under the rug. You've noticed something's going on with one of your peers or your coworkers. Yeah. Then it's okay to approach them and say, you know, do you need someone to talk to?
Or I suppose they could approach your unit?
Absolutely. Right. Yep, absolutely. Or our 55 members within York Regional Police, within our own internal webpage, we have the bios of all our members and their contact information.
Yeah, so you'd feel comfortable, maybe more comfortable, reaching out to a colleague that's had perhaps a similar experience.
Absolutely. Or even somebody, if you go through the list and it's somebody that you know. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, comfort level of a well-known colleague to yourself.
Absolutely.
Perhaps, right?
Yeah.
And now you said that this extended beyond just the members themselves.
Yes.
But into their families.
Absolutely. So another thing, when we started, we always encouraged people to tell us, you know, what was missing or what they would like to see. And one of the things that came out of the peer support unit is something called York Beyond the Blue. Right. And it's actually support for spouses. So, for example, someone has a spouse on the job, and you know they're looking for supports. Sure. Then they can call York Beyond the Blue, or there's our Facebook page. They can go there to look for resources if they need be.
Well, that's fantastic. So it's all encompassing, right?
Yes.
You know, we all recognize that something that affects me does affect my family.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
You do bring not just your work home, but I mean you do bring the effects of your work home.
Absolutely.
Right. So it certainly gives you that outlet, right?
Yep. Yep.
Now, I wanted to touch a bit on where this peer support unit came from, because it didn't just appear.
That's right.
So do you mind talking a bit about that?
Sure, I'll be very brief on that. So I came from a family, I grew up in a police family. My dad was an officer for 30 years. My spouse is also a police officer. So I kind of have firsthand knowledge of how the policing world can affect your family. Of course. And also in 2010, I did some research regarding the effects of our Internet Child Exploitation Unit and how that affected members in there. And were we putting the right people in those positions? Sure. So long story short, out of that came research that just said, you know, as a police service, and York being probably one of the best police services, I would say, in Canada for providing physical support, what were we doing for our mental health? Yeah. So this idea was brought forward, and again, here's where Chief Jolliffe really stepped in the ECT and supported it. It went to the Police Services Board for us to create a unit for the wellness of our members. Yes. And within 9 months of that meeting...
I was going to say, that turnaround was pretty quick.
Very quick. And we actually got direction from the Ombudsman report in the line of duty that was actually created for the OPP. Wow. Yeah. So we went through there, answered all the recommendations, and it came out that, you know, by providing this unit for our members is a good thing. Yeah. 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 So it started off small. Yes. More or less, like internally. Yes. And it's grown since then. Yes, it actually started out as a two-person project to answer all these recommendations. And then once it went to the Police Services Board, they gave us the approval to start a full unit. And now there's 5 members in the unit, including we are the first service in North America to have a peer support dog. Yes, and we're going to talk to our little friend Blarney. Yes, in the next segment of the show. What a great addition. Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, you have. It sounds like you don't just have the tools, but you've created a lot of the tools that you need to offer your members. We did, and for us it was different too, because it's not like we could look to other police services to create our own unit. We really, it was trial and error, and what works, what doesn't work. We had to put in a model that would be good for our service, considering the size.
Yeah.
Those are things that we had to think about when putting in this unit. So,
Yeah, of course.
yeah.
And just before we got on the air, we talked about your location. You actually operate off-site?
We do. When we first became, we were situated out of our headquarters.
Yeah.
And we all kind of learned that, if people are reaching out for peer support and maybe not wanting people to know, so then we were situated off-site.
Yeah, we're still trying to break down a stigma there, right?
Absolutely.
And you don't necessarily want people to see you walking into the room that's offering that peer support, I'm sure.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's still, especially in the first responder community, that stigma associated with reaching out for help and people being embarrassed to do that. So. Yeah,
and that goes for all levels of society, right? I mean, people do. It's unfortunate, like you said, but there is that stigma, and all we can do is keep those conversations open, and hopefully we can break that down. Right?
Absolutely.
What a fantastic. What a fantastic program. So, folks, we're going to be right back, and we're going to visit with Blarney, the peer support dog. See you in a few minutes. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our conversation with Sergeant Beth Milliard. And Beth has brought with her a friend. I'll let you do the introduction.
Yes, this is our peer support service dog, and her name is Blarney.
Blarney.
Yes.
Well, Blarney, welcome to the show. She's been sitting here for some time now, and she's absolutely comfortable, and looks like she loves being here.
She does, and she's a great asset to the peer support unit and the peer support house.
Yeah. Okay, so what is Blarney's role here?
So Blarney's role actually is she's deployed specifically for our members.
Okay.
So we will use Blarney after critical incidents where we go and do debriefs. Blarney will come and participate in the debrief. So what she does is, if everyone in the debrief is comfortable, our handler, who is Shane Fisher, will let Blarney off lead, and Blarney will actually make her way around the room. And believe it or not, she gravitates towards people that are kind of feeling the most distress.
Well, absolutely. Yeah, I do believe it.
Yeah. So what we find is Blarney goes to those people, and then people start petting her, and it's actually a source of calmness for people, and we see it every day, even people coming into the peer house. Or they'll come to the peer house, and they don't really want to talk, and then they start petting Blarney, and then stuff starts coming out, right?
Working, right?
It's a conversation starter, we say too. So,
and kind of a soft way to start.
Absolutely. So Blarney is a Barbet. She's a French water dog. Okay. And the cool thing about Blarney is she has hair, not fur, which means she's non-hypoallergenic.
Right.
So when people
you don't have to worry about your dog allergies. Right? Exactly.
So a lot of the times too, Blarney's deployed at our different police facilities as well. Okay. Just on a daily basis, she may go for a couple hours to a different facility, go around, and basically she's a check-in with our members. Yeah. And it's awesome. And like I said, we're the only police service in North America that has a dog strictly for its members.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So how long has Blarney been with you?
So Blarney's been with us now, I believe, for a year.
Nice.
And she came to us through United by Trauma, Nicole Taylor.
Okay.
She runs the United by Trauma program, and she trains dogs. Right. The other thing is Blarney's named after, or all Nicole's dogs are named after officers who have taken their lives.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Blarney's actually named after an officer from Hamilton Police Service.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty powerful all in itself.
Yeah. Right. So, yeah, she does great work, and just like Shane always says, her handler is, she's just like people.
Yes.
She needs a rest. So, she might go and be deployed 3 hours, and she sucks in everybody's, if they're feeling sad or they're distressed
all their
or whatever.
Emotions.
Yeah, takes
sure.
in all those emotions, and then she needs her sleep.
Yeah, she needs a rest from it all as
She
well,
does.
right?
Yeah,
So she's with you folks all the time down at the Peer Support House.
she is. Yep.
And like you say, she gets deployed out as needed.
Yes.
I love her vest.
Yes, her vest. Oh, good. And she's turning for us.
Look at that.
So,
We're
yeah,
even getting modeled.
we specifically got a green vest because when
Yes.
I talked about that Road to Mental Readiness training,
Right.
we always encourage people to stay in the green. And green's the healthy,
It's back to the color coding.
exactly, and where we want officers to be. And then, of course, our York Regional Police logo, and then as well it says here service dog.
Right.
The other cool thing about Blarney as different from our canine dog is, as you can see, you can pet Blarney.
Yes. Yes.
and
Yeah,
she's-
very, very accepting.
Yeah,
Very-
exactly.
Very happy to be with you.
and very different from our canine. So we wanted,
Yes.
when we deployed Blarney, our goal was to make sure that she was set different than the canine. Like people knew the difference between
Absolutely.
a canine dog and Blarney.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. No. She's all to her own, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's definitely an interesting role that she plays for the service, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she's a great, like I said, conversation starter, and we see it every day. People coming in and maybe not wanting to talk, and then Blarney comes to their feet, and then they start petting her, and
Yeah.
then they start talking.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
Yeah. No, I know. I've had the opportunity of meeting Blarney on a couple of occasions, and she certainly is the greeter in the room,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely.
And she does get the conversation, and she wants to move around a little bit.
Yeah,
which is,
that's
which is
okay.
just fine,
Yeah.
right?
So she's, yeah, it's amazing. And people ask us too, like, how do they train her? And
Yes.
we're not sure. Like, we don't know if she just senses people that seem to be distressed and kind of gravitates towards.
I think that thought's always been there outside
Yeah.
of your role. I think that thought's always been there, that you're even our pets know
Yes.
maybe who needs a little bit of comfort over the other guy. I can tell you in our
Absolutely.
house that's the way it always was.
Absolutely.
Right, so it seems like a perfect fit. I'm thinking about how something like this comes to be, and it's it's just it's just more of the credibility of the people in the unit that are looking for other avenues, right?
Oh, for sure. And we even, like some of our high risk units, like our internet child exploitation, our homicide, when they're kind of, working on a case that's particularly,
sensitive.
sensitive
Yeah.
and stressful, they'll call up and say, can Blarney come by the office? And, Shane goes in there with Blarney, and you could just see the mood of the room, and it just totally
It's
changed.
almost an instant calming effect, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So she's been a great addition to York Regional Police for sure.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah.
And some other areas then of the peer support unit.
A couple other things we do. Sit down. Is we also do the addictions referral.
Right.
So if people were to come forward and there's
right.
issues with addictions and other kind of mental health illnesses or issues,
Yep.
we will assist with those.
Yeah.
We also have a great relationship with a lot of our mental health professionals within the community, and a lot of our members from York Regional Police actually live outside York Region.
Of course, yeah.
So we've created relationships and partnerships with those mental health professionals as well.
Yes.
So, because again, at the peer support, we're not therapists.
No.
We
No, right.
are that, that ear to listen and let people vent. But if people need something beyond peer support,
Yes.
we are able to get them hooked up
Okay,
with
so
that.
you have other networks created, and what would they be?
Absolutely. So we've gone out and we've met mental health professionals,
Okay.
kind of have a vetted list for our members, which is great. We also partnered with Wounded Warriors,
All right.
and we have a great program called, that they've let us in on, called Cam Praxis, and it's actually equine therapy.
Oh, okay.
So any member that comes forward that has a diagnosis of PTSD,
Yes.
that they can go along with their spouse to this equine therapy program.
Wow.
And it's a 4-day program, and it's fantastic.
Wow. Yeah.
So-
So the more we look at it, the broader it is, right?
Absolutely.
Now
Absolutely.
we had touched on earlier about other services. You have shared resources.
We do. We have the list, the mental health list. We also share with other police services
Yes.
as well. We're actually
Because you were saying that this is York Regional Police is one of few that actually has a peer support unit, right?
Yeah, and we actually get a lot of calls from different services in Ontario and throughout Canada on how to start a peer support,
Right.
either team or unit.
Okay.
So we get a lot of calls from that. And then we also have a provincial working group.
A provincial
where-
working group.
Yeah, so we created that 3 years ago when we started our unit. And what it is I think,
I think Blarney might want down.
Yeah, I think
Okay,
we'll get her down.
we'll give Barney a little break.
Okay. I just don't think she's going to jump down here.
Yeah. This is a bit of an interesting challenge.
Yeah. Actually, she's okay
Right.
here.
She's fine?
Yeah.
Good.
So what it is there's I think we're up to 30-something police services that we meet quarterly.
Oh,
And we
okay.
talk about best practices. And also,
Right.
in addition to the best practices, we find that we're very fortunate at York Regional Police and we have access to a lot of good resources,
Yeah.
but the smaller services don't.
Yeah, of course.
So we find if we can be a resource to them, either
Yeah.
help them through training or help them create peer support units or teams,
Right.
then we offer our resources as well. And Chief Jolliffe in the ECT is very
Right.
for paying it forward and
Yeah.
helping other services. So,
Oh, that's fantastic. Right?
Yeah.
So not only have you created the peer support unit, but now you're actually going out and you're mentoring other services on it.
absolutely, absolutely.
This is again to the credibility of the team that's put this together, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Right. So, with the talk about mental health, peer support, and obviously somebody's identified the need, and you've put that into place. Somebody's going to ask, so just how busy are you? It's got to be a busy unit.
We're very busy. And the way I look at it, it's good and bad.
Yeah.
When you think about it, well, more good because people are coming
Yeah.
forward, right? But bad in the sense that it's usually taking people so long to come forward and recognize that they need the help. So again, if we can be that unit that is able to provide these services in the beginning, we get out, we train the new recruits, we go and speak to them, we give them all the resources, all the tools. If we can do that at the beginning and save that from people, having to go off work or, just having a hard time later on,
Right.
eventually, hopefully that's what's going to start happening.
Yeah, it's that proactive piece, right?
Absolutely.
And you touched on new recruits. Earlier on in the show, you were saying, how all members of York Regional Police have had the training.
Yes.
I guess that's to say that new recruits coming in to the House have also received that training?
Well, what's cool is about that provincial working group I was talking about, one of the players at that table is the Ontario Police College.
Oh, right.
And so when we introduced Road to Mental Readiness at York Regional Police, we introduced it to that working group.
Right.
And the person that represents the Ontario Police College actually brought Road to Mental Readiness to the college. So now every recruit since January 2015 is now getting that mandatory mental health training.
Wow. So you started with the whole envelope
Yes.
in the training.
Yes.
And now you're actually bringing it in, everyone that walks through there.
Absolutely.
So you're getting well ahead of the curve there.
Yes. Yes. So, and then what we do at York is, even though they've had the training at OPC, at York, we will start giving refresher trainings on mental health awareness and reaching out and the importance of that. So, again, it's something that, another thing too that we've realized, you can't just give the mental health training once and that's it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like same as physical, right?
Yeah.
We tell people, you have to be physically fit every year and retrain on your gun and all your use of force. It's no different when it comes to your mental
No,
health.
and that's a great comparison, right?
Yeah.
You can't just go into a classroom and learn it once. You should have a refresher.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a pretty good example using the physical piece.
Yeah.
Is you don't just work out once and stay fit.
Exactly.
It's something that you have to continue, right? Like a continued education piece, right?
Absolutely, because at the end of a 30-year career, we want people retiring and being healthy and
Yeah.
and
And being in a stable environment, stable family, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And you've got to love that piece that you've not only included the officers, but you've included the families of the officers
Absolutely.
as well, right?
Yep. Yeah. So.
That's fantastic. And so, what else within the peer support unit? You said that it's a 5-member team.
Yes. So we have there's 3 officers
Right.
and 2 civilians.
Yeah.
So when you're asking if we've been busy, since we started, our stats have probably tripled.
Wow.
And in saying that, I think there's a lot of underreporting as well.
Of course there is.
Right?
Yeah.
So when I say tripled, I mean people reaching out, and it might not even be someone that's so in distress.
Sure.
But people are, again, recognizing when they need help, and they're getting ahead of the curve.
Then you've done your job.
Absolutely.
Well, Beth, thank you so much for being here.
Thank
That was
you.
a great piece. A lot of learning, a lot of education.
Great.
Folks, that wraps up this episode of Policing York Region. Thanks for joining us. For more information on the show, rogerstv.com. For more information on York Regional Police, yrp.ca. It's been great having you. I look forward to seeing you again. Thank you.